ankle bone. And that's going to be your cue to get ready to go. So let's give it a try. I'm going to say the foot bone's connected to the
ankle bone.
Perfect. And when you guys say ankle bone, then that means your eyes are on me, your ears are open so we can hear everything we need to hear, especially if there's instructions. And our hands are going to be in our lap. Today you will be doing a science experiment. And I'm going to ask that as we're doing this experiment, you really follow those instructions that I give you. One of the items we're going to be using is vinegar. How many of you know what vinegar is? It smells, right? It smells kind of awful. Vinegar is not harmful. So if you get some on you, it's okay. We don't want to drink it, so we do not want to taste any of our science experiment today. Because one, it's not going to taste very good. And then two, we just don't want to be consuming vinegar, okay? But it is not dangerous. If you do happen to get it in your eyes, though, please let me know because we're going to quick go and rinse those eyes out, okay? But you really shouldn't. I will pour it for you just because it's in such a big jug. So when your group is ready for the vinegar, and you'll understand in a little bit what that's going to be about, but when we're ready for that, I will pour your vinegar, okay? So let's try that call back one more time. The foot bone's connected to the
ankle bone.
Wonderful, you guys are on it today. All right, so by a show of hands here, who recognizes what my friend, and we're going to call him Ralph, does he need a different name? What different name did we like? George. We'll go with George. So my friend George up here, what is George? What is George? Whitney, what's George?
He is a skeleton pilot.
He is a skeleton. He's got a fun hat on. It was cold outside this morning. We had to put a hat on him. But he is a skeleton. Did you know that each and every single one of you has a skeleton?
Yeah.
We can't see it though, can we?
No.
Have any of you ever broken a bone?
No,
If you break a bone, you go to the doctor and you get an x-ray. And then we can see your skeleton through your skin and through your muscles. Today we're going to focus on our skeletal system, which is one of the systems inside of our body. I'm going to ask, though, that we first start with this little anticipatory set. So what this is asking or telling me, how much do you all already know about the skeletal system? On this side of the paper is where you are going to write. We are going to leave this side blank until we're all done with everything we have to learn about the skeletal system. So on this side, you are either going to answer true or false. You will read the statement, and where it says start of unit, you will answer true or you will answer false. Now, you may not know any of these, and that is 100% okay. When I first did this anticipatory set, I didn't know all of them either. All right, but at the end, you're going to come back through and answer true or false again after we've learned a bunch of stuff, and you'll see if your answers have changed or if they've remained the same. All right, so you're just going to try your very best on this. You will need a pencil, and we're not going to take too incredibly long to finish this up, so just make sure everybody at your table gets one. So you're going to take one and pass one, please. Take one and pass one, please. All right, take one and pass one, please. All right, does anyone need a pencil? Perfect. All right, so the back side of this is what we're going to use for our experiment. Today, we're just going to focus on this side, or for right now, we're just going to focus on this. Did you get one? Oh, very good. That was a good point. That was just So just take a few minutes, read each of those statements and either write true or false. And again, if you don't know it, that's okay. You can leave it blank or you can take a guess. Either one is fine. Remember what I said, when I first took this one, I didn't know. nicely each of you is working. Thank you. Alright, even if you're not quite done, that's okay. You can work on that in a little bit. We'll have plenty of time for you guys to finish up. So I want to show something here about my friend George. His hand came off. George made some pretty poor choices when he was choosing what to have for breakfast this morning. One of the things that George chose for breakfast was a Pepsi. Pepsi is not a very nutritional thing for him to have for breakfast, is it? No. Nope. He said, I love soda, I'm gonna have soda. So he had a soda. And what happens? What do you guys think might happen to our bones if all we drank is soda? What's one thing that might happen?
Sometimes bones rot.
Okay, so our bones, they rot, and maybe they get brittle, right? They're not as strong. What's something else?
You'll be weak.
You could be very weak, sure, because if your bones aren't strong and you're not being supported, you're going to be kind of weak. So that was one of his choices that he made for breakfast, was soda. Here's another choice that he made for breakfast. Candy.
Yum.
George chose candy for breakfast this morning, right? Candy. What nutritional value does candy have? Right? What nutritional value does candy have, Callie? It has sugar, right? Well, okay, so Whitney, what else?
I think some candy, the ones that are candy chocolates, they might have milk in it.
Okay, they might have some milk in it, but probably not enough to be any kind of value, right?
Yeah.
Keegan, what do you think?
Some of them might have some iron.
Okay, so maybe we're getting some iron from candy.
Iron?
Yeah.
Iron. Candy makes you hard stuff.
Candy makes you fall asleep, so you get a sugar rush, and you get all excited, and you're hyper, and then all of a sudden that sugar wears off, and you just crash. You get really sleepy. What could have been some better options for George? What might have been a better option for him to have for breakfast? Okay, maybe he could have had fruit. That would have been a good one. What do you think, Nate?
A banana.
A banana could have been good. How about you?
Cereal and put strawberries in it or something.
Okay, so maybe he could have had cereal. What about oatmeal?
Yeah.
Did you have a package of oatmeal this morning? Yeah, because look, if I read in my oatmeal, there is calcium in my oatmeal, and there's fiber in my oatmeal. There's all kinds of things in my oatmeal that make it a lot better than Pepsi and candy. Right? A lot better than Pepsi and candy. How about something that he could have drank? What could George have drank this morning that would have been good for him? Joss, what could he have drank?
Milk.
He could have had milk. What amazing product does milk have in it that's good for our bones? What's good for our bones, Eric?
Calcium.
Calcium is
Vitamin.
great for our bones. Vitamin D is phenomenal for our bones. What about water?
Yeah.
My water is frozen. So he could have maybe licked my ice water, right? But George could have had water. Is water good for bones? Yeah. Did you know that our bones have water in them?
No.
Yeah. And that your bones have to stay nice and moist, otherwise they become kind of brittle. Let me show you guys what I mean by that.
Miss Williams,
Yes.
you know, he could have had,
What could he have had?
he could have had bacon.
He could have had
He
bacon.
could eat those
Turkey
piggies.
bacon.
So here is, I have 3 bones, and I'm going to pass these bones around to you. You guys got to feel them kind of quick. Hang on one second, okay?
real bones?
These are real bones. These came from a real chicken.
Okay.
And so I made some chicken stock yesterday and I soaked the bones, right? So you guys, I want you to feel that bone. I want you to kind of feel, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Please don't lick it, it's not very good. Okay, so go ahead and start with your bones. Make sure everyone at your table though gets a chance to feel that bone pretty quick. Yeah.
He could also drink tea.
He could have had tea, so green tea is healthy, white tea is healthy, black tea. Mackenzie, orange juice, you can find some vitamin C.
for your throat.
Lemon tea is good for your throat. All right, make sure everybody gets those bones. Pass them to the tables behind you. You guys have all felt the bones. Did you feel it? You have chickens? But
I used to have.
are they loud? Is that what it is? Yeah, they're loud. All right, so my friend George over here made some really poor choices, right?
Yeah.
And what happens if we make those poor choices and we're not doing the things we're supposed to do to make our bones nice and strong? They can break.
Oh gosh, you just broke a bone. I can break a bone with my teeth.
Your bones can break. Now I want you to feel this. I'm going to pass this bone around. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll kind of try to get those other ones too. I want you guys to feel this, and I'll go one part of it over here and one part of it over here, and we'll pass this by. How does this broken bone now feel different?
Give it to Miss Williams.
It's kind of hard. I can't do this one. This chicken must have had some milk. I can't get this one. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Can I break that one? Can I break that one?
You want to start with that part?
Oh.
It's so
You got the one that was white.
Oh, there we go. You guys can start on that side.
Whoa.
And you guys can take a look. Dropping bones all over the classroom.
I feel so bad.
They were delicious. All right. The foot bone is connected to the... Ooh, let's try that one again. The foot bone's connected to the... Thank you. I'm going to show you guys a quick little commercial that sort of explains why milk might be important. All right, but I will only start it when everybody's eyes are up here and voices are off so we can all hear it. Voices off.
Drink your milk, kids. I don't want milk. Milk's for babies.
Yeah, babies.
Oh yeah? Well, I happen to know that milk helps build strong bones. So drink up. Well, Mr. Miller told me he never drinks milk. Look at him.
Yeah.
Hi, kids.
Oh, that's not good.
So that was a silly commercial. Our arms aren't going to fall off if we don't drink milk. Oh, hang on. Our bones won't, our arms won't rip off or fall off or break off if we don't drink milk. But our bones do go through changes. So we're going to watch another video kind of at the end of this, but right now we're going to get started on an observation about changes in our bones. So does anybody know how many bones are in your body when you become an adult? When you're all done and all your bones are gone, how many bones do you have? Aiden, how many bones? Ooh, it is very close. It's a little bit more than 200. A little bit more. Do you have an idea?
215?
Ooh, a little bit less than 215. We'll take one more guess. What do you got?
210?
210 is a little, it's 206 bones.
That's close.
206 bones is how many bones you have. But when you're born, so when babies are brought home from the hospital, they have over 300 bones. And as we grow, our bones fuse together to make really strong bones. So our bones are changing. And your skeletons right now are growing. And it's a constant growing. you grow and then your bones kind of stop growing. So at about 25 years of age, your bones are kind of like, I think I'm good. I'm done fusing, I'm done growing, right? So if you're growing, how important do you think it is to build strong bones? How important do you think it is to have bones that are going to hold your body upright and help you to move and are strong enough to withstand all the crazy things you guys do out on that playground? I watch. You do crazy things on the playground. That's scary. Right? It's very important that we have strong bones. What do you have to add?
If you did it wrong, like if
Oh,
you
we'll
did
get
that
to the
wrong,
other side of that. We'll get.
erase it?
No, we're gonna get to the other side later on. Don't worry about filling anything out right now. Okay? Winnie,
You need guys to get the milk.
you do need cows to
And
give
you
you
kill
milk.
them.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, my friends. You are gonna flip your paper over. One, two, three, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
I am going to start the directions for an experiment that you guys will do over the course of this week. But it is going to take about a week. So I need all ears listening for these directions. I need one volunteer from each table. Good? Good? Stevie, you're good? Eric? Keegan? Alright, if you were the person I chose, please stand up. You are going to head over and you are going to get a tin that's on the back counter. Oh, hang on please, I didn't tell anybody to go. We're going to do this one at a time. We're going to start with this table first. Please go over and get a tin. You're going to need the 3 jars and the baggie that's inside that tin. Okay? No, I will take that back. You may go ahead and go. Okay, so just take one. They are all the same. They all contain the same. You can just throw it away.
Can I keep this one?
No. Thank you. All right, Stevie, you may go ahead and get your tin. Keegan and Eric, please get your tin. Oh, let's leave everything inside of the tins for right now. We're going to make sure we're following directions. It will be very difficult for me to give directions with all of you talking. Your table is going to get labels. You will use these labels in just a little while. One of your table members is going to need to write on these labels, so whoever's got really nice handwriting. So as a group, quickly discuss who is going to write on your label. Any bones?
Okay, not
Okay. The foot bones connected to the
ankle bone.
Where are your eyes? They're on me. Where are your hands? In your lap. And your ears are open. All right. Each of you has a tin. Each of you in your table group has 3 mason jars. And you have a bag of bones. Okay. May I borrow your observation sheet?
Yeah.
Thank you. On your observation sheet, there's a spot for you to put your name and your group number. Your group number over here is, you are group 1, you are group 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So you're going to write your name and you are going to write your group number on a label. One label. You need to write group 1, group 2, group 3, whichever your group is. So one label. Who's writing for this group? So you're going to write group 2. Okay? You would write group 1, group 3, group 4, group 5. You are going to take that label and you are going to stick it in your pan. Okay? So you're going to take that label and you're going to stick it in your pan. Yep, stick it right inside your pan. Okay. So just take it right in your pan. Very nice. Can I borrow your pan? Bag of bones. Let's take it. The flip bones connected to the
Ankle bone.
table number 3. Eyes on me, please. We should have tins that look something like this. So you should have your sticker in your tin. Good? Okay. Now, you have 3 jars. Okay, and there's 3 bones. We'll get there though. So in this very first jar, your label needs to say today's date, which is 10-31. So 10-31. And then we're going to put on there dry. D-R-Y. Okay? Yep, so you're gonna write on the label. So on your label you need to have 10-31 and the word dry. You're then gonna take that label and you're gonna stick it to 1 jar. And Jocelyn, when you are done, I'm gonna use yours as the example. No, you're gonna need to be able to, you gotta wrap it on this part of the jar because you're gonna have to be able to take the lid off.
Okay.
Okay, so just like this. Okay, see? 10-31 and the word dry. Just like this one.
Bones are mine.
All right. On your observation sheet, there are some questions. We're going to read these questions together. They are in this bold print right here. Let's read those questions together. 1, 2, 3. Why do we need to have strong bones in our skeletal system? What? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the observation sheet. It's on the back side of your anticipatory set. We're reading this top part together. Table 5, you guys, you heard that? We're going to read it together. Let's try that again from the very beginning. I've got your paper. Let's read it together. Why do we need to have strong bones in our skeletal system? What might happen if we expose our bones to acid instead of calcium? Why do our bones need calcium? Okay. Now underneath that is a spot for your group to come up with a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Raise your hand and let me see. What's a hypothesis? What is a hypothesis?
It's like a guess.
Can you hear what she's saying? Try again.
It's like a guess, but you guess like a little closer.
Okay, so it's a guess, and it's a guess that's you're trying to answer that question. And your hypothesis is the guess that you're giving to be what would the answer to the question be. Right, Aiden? Yes. So we're looking for an answer to those questions. What might happen to our bones if we don't give them calcium? Oh, you guys are, as a group, are going to quietly think about what is your hypothesis, and then you're each going to write that hypothesis on your observation sheet. Alright? Create your hypothesis to answer that question.
And then the calcium.
No, now it gets over.
Without counting, great.
Table number 1 is absolutely great. Starting with hypothesis. Whitney, are you writing down? You as a group are doing it together. So it's break down.
I don't know.
Table number 4 is categorized hypothesis. What ideas do we have? What might happen?
Yeah, they said the
You guys like that idea that your bones will get thicker, right? That they don't have calcium now and that?
But he said
Let's not write that part, because I don't think we'll put that.
If your bone walks out.
Done. Fourth grade. If you are ready to get started. It's very loud when we're moving across the table. All right. I'm going to have you guys now take out one bone from your back. Just one.
Eat it.
Your job is to use your senses, but not taste, because remember in science labs we don't taste anything. You are going to use your senses to observe this bone. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it smell like? Right? Can you hear anything? Does it make any noises?
Smells like chicken.
Now, each of your group members needs to have an opportunity. Fourth grade, can you hear my directions? Each of your group members needs to have an opportunity to touch this bone. In your observation chart, table number 3. In your observation chart, Stevie, you've got a spot that says bone dry and day 1. You are going to write your observations for day 1 in that top spot. So what does it feel like? What does it smell like? Okay? What color is it? What does it look like? Make sure everyone in your group gets a chance. Whitney's got a good idea there. She's banging it. Does it feel hard? Does it feel soft? What does it feel like? And get those observations written for bone number 1. Nope, we're on dry. Okay, so right now we're getting those observations where it says day 1 and dry. You're going to actually write these under where it says day 1, because today is day 1. So you're going to write these observations under day 1 next to where it says dry. Winnie has everything in your group had a chance to look at it. It's just a chicken bone. Nothing unshelled.
It smells like chicken.
It smells like chicken.
I love chicken. It smells disgusting.
Ours does.
It smells like
Oh, very wet.
Please raise your hand if you've had a chance to observe your bone. Please raise your hand if you've had a chance to observe your bone. Please raise your hand if you've had a chance to observe your bone.
I observed the chicken.
Table number 4, did you guys have a chance to observe your bone? I didn't see hands go up. Thank you. All right, 4th grade, take a look up here, please. In your jar that has today's date and has the word dry, you're going to take that bone and you're going to slide it into the dry. Okay, put it in there. And then you're going to take and you're going to seal it up.
Can I see that?
Okay. You're going to seal it up. All right, if you can hear me, clap once. You can hear me and you are ready for step number 2, clap once. going to take one bone, and everybody is going to observe it. Hang on, my friends, I have to give you all the directions before we get started. Bones in the back, hands in your lap, eyes on me, ears are open, hands are in your lap. All right, you are going to repeat the process. You will take one bone out of your back, everyone will observe it. You will now write, when you're on this second bone, we're hands in lap right now. You are going to write it next to where it says water, day 1. So you're in the day 1 column, but this is going to be the bone that we put in water. After your group has made observations for the bone and has put it in the jar, I will come around and put water in your jar. You must do a label that says today's date and water. Make sense? And then you're going to put it on another jar. Are there any questions on the steps that you guys are about to take? Does anyone have a question? Stevie, what's your question? Hang on, Stevie. Not everybody in the class is listening to this question, and they may have the same one. So we're going to wait till everybody's hands are in their lap, and then we will get started with your question. I'm going to wait, though, till everyone's hands are in their lap. Stevie, what's your question?
Are we gonna write what we think about when it's dry and on the water?
Yep, so you're going to observe the bone as you take it out of the bag. Those are your observations for day 1. So even though we haven't put it in the water yet, you're going to still give me observations for what the bone is like today on day number 1. Okay? All right. Keegan, what's your question?
Will we observe the bone when it's not in water, and then will we observe it, look at it again when it's in the water?
Yep, so if you'll notice on your observation sheet, you have day 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for the rest of this week, each day you will have a few minutes to observe your bone. You will open the jar, you're going to take it out of the jar, you're going to feel it, you maybe smell it, but on the vinegar one, just do a little smell, don't like whip it all the way in there. You're going to make the exact same observations for all 3 of your bones. Okay, so that's not going to change. But today, the observation we're making is how the bone is when we're putting it in the jar. Okay? Yes, question. We have one more question, ladies and gentlemen.
So, and 2 questions. So, do we have to you have to write it down when it's wet?
No, you're
when
gonna.
it's dry?
Yep. So you're gonna take it right out of the bag, make your observations, and write those observations down.
So we don't write it when it's wet?
Not right now. No. Tomorrow it will be wet, and when you pull it out of the jar, then you'll make observations. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then you guys make sure you get your labels done. 1 for water, 1 for vinegar, and start those observations.
Can I open the jar? I want to open it this time.
Where's the bone?
Okay.
Yeah, let Abby open it.
So you're doing 3 different bones. So you have to make observations.
That's why it says
Smell like, and it looks like.
no, we have to
And then you're going to do the exact same thing for the next set of bones. That's what it came off of. If you are ready for me and you need some water, let me know.
We're not ready for water yet.
You're not ready for water?
No, we didn't kill the bone. That's a large one.
Are there any cases that are ready for water?
That's water. That's going to be vinegar.
It doesn't. Are you guys ready for water? I tell you what I'll do. I will the water's gonna go in?
Okay.
Perfect. I'm gonna put it in there. When your phone is in the jar, it goes in here. Yes, if everyone has had a chance. Alright, you guys ready? Oh, my name is Make sure you roll those jars nice and tight, please. One, two, three, eyes on me. After you have your dry and your water, you guys need to make a third label with today's date that says vinegar. And then you need to get your third bone out, make your observations, and then we've got to get those into the vinegar and the water, okay? So go ahead and get those started. And then raise your hand when you guys are ready for vinegar. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, you guys have to make sure you're writing those observations down for those bones.
I thought you said you weren't. She has chocolate.
Okay. What's her name?
Chocolate. That's vinegar. Put it in. Yeah. Really? You don't know how to go with?
All right, let me have this. I'm gonna give your jar We're gonna talk about that crazy white. You guys ready for vinegar? Aiden, are you ready for vinegar?
It smells like there's nothing you put on it. This is like, it smells like that
take it down a notch, okay? We've got fifth graders across the hall. They're learning this morning. Once all of your jars are closed up, go ahead and put them in your container. If you are all set for straight, please raise your hand. I see 1, 2, 3 tables have got all their containers inside the tin. Looking for table number 5 to get their containers inside the tin. Table number 3, good. All right. I'm gonna have you guys come forward. We're gonna take a seat. Be careful for George. Have a seat. You guys are gonna need to be able to see the smart board, please.
Mouse on wheels.
Yeah, the smart board. All right, for at over the next couple of days will show you what happens to our bones when they're exposed to acid instead of to calcium. But that doesn't really describe a whole lot about our skeletal system, does it? No. Like, we know we have a skeleton, but why do we have the bones that we have? Why are our bones where they are? Who knows what the smallest bone in the body is?
Oh, yes.
What's our smallest bone? Oh, what is it?
Pinky toe, whatever. It's pinky.
It is not the pinky toe. In fact, think opposite end of the body. What's our smallest bone? It's not in our teeth. Nope. What do you got?
It's in the spinal.
It's not. Oh, what do you think? It's not in your hair. No. Let me tell you. Do you have a guess, Eric?
One of the neck bones?
You guys are getting closer. It's in your ear.
What? I thought that was cartilage.
Let me explain it. It's inside of your ear. It's called the stapes. And even in a full-grown adult, it is no bigger than a grain of rice. What? It is a teeny tiny bone. Who knows where our biggest bone in our body? Where's the biggest bone in our body? No? Biggest bone?
A rib cage.
No?
Oh, come on. It's like,
What do you think, Josh?
spine.
It's not your spine. What? But I tell you what, I'm gonna ask that exact same question after we watch this video. So be listening for the information on the biggest, strongest bone in our body. Do you have something to add? We're not guessing bones right now. Nope, hands down. We're gonna watch our video. Stevie, would you go turn off one set of lights, please? All right, is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we've got our voices off and we're being nice and respectful. That way everyone can hear what's happening.
So George can sleep.
Believe it or not, there's something a lot like this inside of you and inside of me too. It's a skeleton. You may have seen skeletons like the ones they have of dinosaurs in a museum, or maybe plastic models of human skeletons like this. Maybe you've even seen dancing skeletons around Halloween. But do you know how important, cool, and powerful your skeleton really is? Let's get to know your bones, from how they help you move to the different kinds you have and the super special job they have to do. Let's get started. One of your skeleton's important jobs is, of course, to hold your body up. Your muscles are strong, but they need a frame, something to hold on to. Without a skeleton, you'd be all loosey-goosey, and you wouldn't be shaped like you. And it goes both ways. Without your muscles, your skeleton would just be a pile of bones. It's only by squeezing and relaxing your muscles that you're able to move your bones. So that silly dancing Halloween skeleton, it's just pretend, because it doesn't have muscles. So your bones are hard enough to hold the weight of the rest of your body, but they're also hard enough to act like a protective shield around your soft, squishy organs. Your ribs, for example, are bones that protect your lungs and heart, so that even if you get a big, strong bear hug, your insides don't get squeezed too. And speaking of strong, the strongest bone in your body is also the biggest, longest, and heaviest bone you have. It's the bone that goes from your hip to your knee, called the femur. And that bone has to be big and strong, because when you run, jump, walk, or even just stand still, a lot of the weight of your body falls on your femurs. Now, where do you think your smallest bone might be? The very smallest bone you have is actually in your ear. This little bone called the stapes looks kind of like a stirrup. Even in adults, it's only about the size of a grain of rice. But this tiny bone has a big job. When sounds enter your ear, they make this little bone move back and forth. These vibrations are what your ears pick up as sound. So without this teeny tiny bone, you wouldn't be able to hear. Now, I have a question. How many bones do you think we have? Well, it kind of depends. It sounds crazy, but you have fewer bones now than when you were born. Newborn babies have about 300 bones, but by the time you're finished growing, you'll only have 206. So where did all those extra bones go? Nowhere. As babies grow, some of their bones grow together or fuse into one bigger bone. For example, your skull. Your hard noggin is actually 21 bones that are fused together, plus one bone that's always separate. Your jaw. Your skull starts out as a bunch of separate bones because that leaves lots of room for your brain to get bigger. And once you're fully grown, the fused parts make an incredibly strong shield to protect your precious brain. One final fun fact about your skeleton: your bones are alive. Even though we often think of skeletons as not living, like the ones we see in museums or models, your bones are full of living cells. Some of these cells are what make your bones grow and repair them if they get hurt. And other cells, which are tucked away in the thick spongy layer deep inside your bones, have a very special job. They make your blood. That's right, most of the stuff that's in your blood is actually made inside your bones. It's because your bones are alive that they're able to grow, like they're doing in you right now. And they won't be done until you're about 25 years old. But even then, your bones will still be busy holding you up, helping you hear, and making your blood. So bones in museums are cool, and Halloween skeletons are fun, don't get me wrong, but nothing's more scary powerful than your own living skeleton and all the great stuff it does for you. Do you have a question about animals with big bones, small bones, or no bones at all? Just let us know by getting help from an adult and leaving a comment below or emailing us at kids@thescishow.com. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, Callie, what is the biggest bone in our body? The femur. This long bone that runs from your hip down to your knee is your femur. And it is our strongest bone and it is our biggest bone. And my buddy here doesn't have a stay piece that I can show you. But it would be inside of his ear, teeny tiny. All right, please head back to your seats. And my buddy here too, he's not real bones, he's...
I wonder what will happen when we
Alrighty. So I had somebody ask me about what was in this bag that I have, and it looks kind of gross.
Guys.
Well, this sort of applies to our muscular system and our skeletal system. So our skeleton, remember what she said, your skeleton can't move if there's no what? If there's no muscles. And muscles attach to our bones and help us to move. So when you guys are holding your muscles up and you feel how it's in there, it's like, yes, I'm strong, right? You feel those. Your muscles are moving, which is making your bones move. Now some of our bones are able to move kind of like a hinge. There's one way they get to move. Think of a door, right? I can't move, I mean, this is about as much as I can move, but I can't take my wrist and bend it all the way over, can I? It's not like I can do like this. So some of our bones work on like a hinge. Some of our bones work on what's like a ball joint. So think of a ball and something that's on top of it and it can kind of roll around. Your neck. Your neck can do that, right? And then we have some things like our knees. They only go one way. If you try bending your knee this way, it's going to hurt. Yes? So we've got hinges and we've got these ball joints. But then there's this fun thing called cartilage.
I know.
Your ear is made out of cartilage.
You do have cartilage in your ears. You also have cartilage that sort of works like a buffer or a padding between your bones. Because think about it, if you just had two bones rubbing on each other.
That would hurt.
Oh, golly, wouldn't that hurt? So we have cartilage. Now this one is kind of gross to touch. But I totally think you all should touch it because this is kind of what cartilage feels
Is it
like.
real?
It is real. And it came off a chicken. Hey, I'm telling you, these chickens I bought at the store yesterday, they've served us well. Just the cartilage in the chicken.
Did you kill it?
I didn't kill the chicken, I just, you know.
She ate him.
And this is kind of what it looks like as it's attached to your bones. Right? That's what it looks like as it's attached to your bones.
Can I feel it?
Yep, make sure we don't pull it off though, that one's kind of coming off.
Okay, that's probably hard. That was weird.
Dude, the skin around your
See how it's squishy? Yeah. You don't have to feel it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to feel it. It is gooey. Now, fourth grade. Imagine that squishy, gooey feeling, and that's kind of what cushions your bones. Right? We also have something else around our skeletal system, and it's tendons. So if you've ever been running and you feel like you pulled a muscle, you feel like you pull it, you might have pulled it like a tendon. And those tendons are what help everything attach to our bones so that when we move, our skeleton moves with us. Yes, ma'am.
I think I know where the cartilage is. I think it's one of his toes.
Well, cartilage is what it's like a cushion between your bones. So I don't know where that came from because I put those carcasses in a big pot of water and I made sure. It's okay. You can put it back in the bag. Oh no. What are you gonna do with chicken cartilage?
I'm gonna keep it in
What
my
is it?
chicken
Oh.
collection.
I will teach you.
My chicken collection.
Josh,
This will
do
start to
you
smell
have
after a
one?
while.
What? Do you have one? What is that?
Excuse me. Everyone get to feel it?
I have an 100-year-old chicken bone.
Oh, right, fourth grade. Something reminds me. There were 3 jobs that our skeleton did. What was one job that our skeleton does for us? One thing that we need our skeleton for. What do you got? So that I can stand up nice and tall.
You're so tall.
Right? It gives me what? If I didn't have my skeleton and I didn't have my muscles, oh, have a seat. If I didn't have my skeletons and I didn't have my muscles, what would I be? What would I be? Yeah, if I didn't have a skeleton and I didn't have muscles, what would I look like? Right? Did everyone hear what was said?
No.
You'd be on the ground. You wouldn't be able to stand up. You'd be like a bag of skin. Or jello. Right? So my skeleton gives me shape and it helps me to stand tall, right? It helps me to stand upright. What's another job that my skeleton has? Make sure every table gets to see that. This bone that's being passed around is a bone that's got cartilage still attached, so you can see what it looks like when it's on there. What else does my skeleton do for me? My skeleton makes blood. The blood that is inside of my bones. So when we broke open those chicken bones earlier, how many of you looked inside the bone? What did you guys see? What was the color? It was kind of brown. What else did it feel like?
It felt like clay.
It kind of felt like clay. It was kind of squishy and grainy.
It felt
What
like-
else did you notice?
It smelled like
Chicken.
not chicken, like beef jerky.
Did it smell like beef jerky? All right. That was the bone marrow. Now, how many of you have ever heard of something called like a bone marrow transplant? Right? Or donating bone marrow. You can go donate some of your bone marrow, which will help produce blood and healthy blood if you're a healthy person. But inside of our bones, just like inside of that chicken bone that we broke in half, we had, make sure you wash your hands, okay, before we eat anything. We're gonna wash our hands. If we looked inside of those bones,
It sounds like you're breaking his bone.
does it sound like I'm breaking his bones?
Oh.
I'm not breaking him.
No, it sounds like he hasn't moved for a while, so it's probably
His rickety, he hasn't had milk, his joints are going. He
He's
hasn't
had
had calcium.
Pepsi too much.
Right? So our bones are producing blood for us, that's very good. Our bones also are gonna help with that blood to help our immune system. Because blood is where we get infections and such, right? So when we've got blood going in our bones, if we've got healthy blood going, then we're gonna help our immune system.
How come?
Yes.
Did his nose, like, the tip of his nose come
Well, so your nose has bones in it, but your nose is also squishy cartilage. So when you go, your nose doesn't go with you. Callie, what's the final thing that our skeleton does?
It protects your organs.
It protects your organs. Now think how important that is. What kind of organs do we have that we cannot live without? What's one thing we cannot live without? Just one. What's one? We can't live without a heart. If our heart's not working, we're not pumping blood, right? What's something else we can't live without? We can't live without a brain, right? We're not like who was it? The Tin Man in Wizard of Oz? We all have to have a brain. He got to function without one for a while, we can't. What's another one we can't function without? Jocelyn, you can't function without lungs. If you don't have inflated lungs, you're not breathing. What's another one? Aiden. Kidneys. Kidneys help us filter things, right? So that we, and store so that we can use the
What
restroom.
happens if you only have one kidney?
You can still function. People have one kidney all the time. All right, so we've got all these important organs. We've got lungs. We've got brains. We've ears, okay? So look at this, look at our rib cage. All right, I want you guys to take a look at George's rib cage, and then maybe feel for your rib cage. Can you feel your rib cage?
Yeah. People can see her.
So if you were to imagine within this rib cage, there's a heart, and there's lungs, and those are being protected. So when your Aunt Patty comes to give you a nice big hug at Thanksgiving, right, and she squeezes and squeezes because she hasn't seen you in forever. Well, because he's plastic, so he'll break. But when she squeezes and squeezes and squeezes, you are not going to all of a sudden become deflated because you've got these ribs that are protecting you.
I can make myself
Okay? So those are the three main functions of our skeletal system: to give us shape and help us to stand upright and move, to make blood for us and help support our immune system, and then to protect all those vital organs, like our skulls protecting our brain, which is why we wear hard hats, or if you guys play baseball or football, you wear a helmet, because you want to protect that skull, which is protecting your brain.
I fell on my head one time in baseball.
Well, thank you for sharing that small moment with us. I appreciate that.
Luckily, I was right now.
Oh no! Alright, so now I want you guys to take a look at the other side of that observation sheet, that anticipatory set. We're going to look at the other side of it now. And I want you guys to take a few minutes to go through that side and see, are my answers going to change, or are my answers going to stay the same? And take a few minutes to answer those for me. So now you guys are working on the right side. So you're going to look through those exact same questions, but then you're going to see if your answers have remained the same or if they've changed. Yep, now you're going to write it on the other side. Is it something that we've talked about? Okay.
I didn't talk about it.
Then we can ask those questions when we're all done. Then just go ahead and finish the right side. It was in my husband's ear. Thank you. Incredible. Incredible.
What? This, I actually guessed from all of these words. What did I guess? I'm not sure.
The areas where our bones meet are called joints. That's not something that we really did talk about yet, other than we've got like joints that hinge, and we've got joints that, like our ankles, kind of like ball joints in our
I'm
neck.
actually going with false because
But it's still called a joint. Yep.
That's true.
Because
There's a ball.
mine was true, false, true. I mean, true, false, true.
Here's mine. Mine was true, false, true, false, true. Here's mine. True.
Yep. All right, while you guys are writing that, I'm going to give you a little heads up. Mrs. Ehart has a book like this, and it's called A Book About Your Skeleton, that you may read and take an AR test on. So if you would like that opportunity to get some AR points, Mrs. Ehart has these books for you. And maybe during some independent read time, you guys could ask her to bring these out. I think she's got 4 or 5. You can take turns reading them and taking an AR test. You've been, hang on 1 second, I see your hand, I'll get to you in just a minute. You've been introduced to the information. So reading this will be sort of like a review for you, okay? But Mrs. Ehart has those books. I will ask her today too if she can maybe put those out. Also, I am going to leave this one here for you guys to take a look at. It is just a book about your skeleton. So again, during some independent read time, if you have the chance and you guys are caught up on your AR points, you can come in here and take a look. It's a non-fiction text. So if you're looking for something specific, you can go ahead and look it up in the table of contents. But it's got some pretty interesting facts in here. So I will leave this here for you guys to take a look at over the weekend. Okay? All right, you are going to need to make sure that your names are on your observation charts because we are going to be keeping those in our containers. So these are going to go in your container. No, leave it, just leave those in there. We're gonna put them around, and I will move these to the back table. Each day,
That was fun.
I can pop in and we can take a look at these because then we will write our conclusions at the very end about what happened to our boat. So make sure your name is on those. It is at Barnes and Noble. Mommy and Daddy can go. Pick it up. Pick it up.